tell you how important it is to know what to eat as well. Jody Steele from Hamilton.
Oh, thank you. I have lots to say about Paul. First Paul came actually because he knew that I started a cancer rehab in Hamilton. It was actually the first one in Canada for exercising and working with people with cancer. And Paul found that out, and it was a good marriage for him to talk about the essential fatty acids and even toxins in the home and all that stuff. Paul's done, he must have done, I don't know, that was about 5 years. He did a lot of presentations for all, I would have exclusively people with diagnosed with cancer. So Paul helped a lot with that. When I first met him, the first thing he did, which was hilarious, was my husband was, he's albino. Do you know albino?
Yeah.
Like
yes.
white with white hair. And so albinos have a lot of different problems, I'm sure Paul can tell you. But one of them is they do have very sensitive skin, and he had raging eczema, like on his hands, so bad that he used to lie and tell people he was a street fighter. But it was bad. Like it would actually drip.
10 years or so?
18 years he went to
18
doctors.
years.
His mom took him when he was a baby, and all they would give was like cortisone, so it was paper thin. Yeah, so he would just even like walk by the door frame, and they would bleed. And so he suffered. He went to doctors, but all they went to cortisone. So then Paul, we were having a meeting, setting up a meeting for the cancer program, and he said to Ira, he said, you know, you could get rid of that. You just have to go on the essential fatty acids and the zinc. There was a bunch of different minerals and vitamins, which were in all the products. And honestly, his eczema is gone, and it's never been. It comes back.
How long's it been gone?
Well, how long have I known you? Since
Too long.
Yeah, since 2005, 204.
So over 5 years.
Over 5 years, and it's honestly the only time it ever flares up a little bit is if we go on vacation and we forget to bring the ethanol or something, and then he eats a little bit of sugar or something, then it may, but nothing like it ever was. So we were believers when we saw that, because honestly he had suffered so badly. So when my mother died of cancer, and so I also was deciding for myself that I wanted to go on the essential fatty acids just to protect myself. I was raised on a farm in Niagara-on-the-Lake, so lots of pesticides. We used to wave to Grandpa's like the DDT would like he'd been a hazmat suit, but we'd all be standing there like this, and you could feel it like hitting you. So my mom was 52 years on that farm, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is linked with farm pesticides. We know that. So anyway, so we got ourselves on it. We got lots of clients at cancer rehab, and I have a 4-year-old, and my 4-year-old he's actually never been sick. He was born 3 weeks early, but perfect score, Epgar scales, never had any skin problems. He's very healthy, very smart. So I always laugh because people talk about their babies throwing up. I'm like, my child's never thrown up. I have no idea.
We'll go back and, because remember you were telling me at the time when we were going through the cancer stuff, you were saying, oh, you're trying to get pregnant.
Yes.
And it really wasn't happening.
Yeah, and so.
And is there anything you can do about it?
So we upped up, well, I had just started to get on the fats myself, so we started taking the regime of 3-to-1 ratio, and sure enough, we got pregnant quick enough and had a very healthy child. And then in between that time, I had several girlfriends that have had a lot of trouble getting pregnant. People are older, like I had Menno at 32. I'll be 30, I'm 36 now having this one, so I'm sure that's part of it, as well as lots of people that don't eat well and can't get pregnant. And so I would send them to Paul or Google them with the little regime. You have a great article on pregnancy too somewhere. And sure enough, people would be on them 2 or 3 months and able to get pregnant. And these are people that have tried, not so much as in vitro, but have gone for a lot of those other medications that help you ovulate and all that crazy stuff. So I have several, probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 girlfriends that have now have children.
All got pregnant.
The sadder part of my story is that I actually, there's a 4-year gap between my 2 children, because I had, when I got pregnant the second time, I lost the baby at 11 weeks, but I had extreme nausea and vomiting. They didn't know what was going on, but I'm talking like 27 times a day. But then I lost that pregnancy, so nothing was ever really investigated. I thought I was just sick or having a girl or whatever. But then I got pregnant again, and I was actually diagnosed with hyperemesis gravidarum. I don't know if am I saying that right? Hyperemesis, which is just like massive vomiting and nausea, like 27 times a day, to the point where I couldn't even swallow my spit. And what happened, because I couldn't swallow anything, I stopped taking the essential fatty acids, and then it snowballed really, really quickly. I was in St. Joe's Hospital several times, 10 weeks off. Sorry, I got choked up. 10 weeks off work, like. I ended up vomiting so much that I tore my throat open, and so I actually had to terminate the pregnancy because I was going to die of the throat tear. So it was people, a lot younger women have died of the actual throat tear. They compare you to like an alcoholic where you have varices in the throat, but it's just from vomiting so much.
By the way, I didn't know any of this either.
Yeah, well, I was basically trying to stay alive, so I didn't call Paul, which I should have in hindsight. But I went to 7 or 8 doctors, and then after that, Paul found out what happened and came over, and he was the only person that actually explained what happened. Everyone, all the other 7 doctors were just like, "You have hyperemesis. That's just like I was on 10 diclectin a day, suppository Gravitol, Stemitol, everything, acupuncture. Like I tried everything else." And none of them were like, "Oh, it just happens, and every pregnancy from now on, you will always have it, and you have it the last one, and your first child's a miracle child, like you should have had it then too." So then I talked to Paul, and Paul told me about leaky gut and the fact that I was off the essential fatty acids, and lo and behold, this was, we really wanted more children. I mean, my husband probably would have 8 if it was up to him, but this was sort of an accident, sort of a wanted accident, you know what I mean? Like I pray for it every day, but I was so terrified for it. My father was basically wrote it off that he didn't want me to have any more children. But talked to Paul, so now I have been on no medication whatsoever, just an increase in the essential fatty acids, and I was a little bit nauseous with this pregnancy, but it's totally fine. So now all those doctors are shocked they didn't have hyperemesis again, because you're supposed to have it every single time. So I owe a lot to Paul. I mean, yeah, very, very thankful. And if this everything's going very, very well, knock on wood, and I had a great pregnancy, and I plan to use the essential fatty acids through the whole pregnancy as well as when I breastfeed. Like I had enough. I was Bessie the cow with my first child. I was telling Paul I could express like 10 ounces in 3 minutes, which a lot of people can't breastfeed. But honestly, I had tons of milk, so I'm hoping that actually happens again. I'm sure. But,
It will,
yeah.
as long as you continue.